So, you know how the word rewind means to wind a tape back up onto the reel that it came from? Like, literally, you would record on a reel of tape like this. You'd listen to music on a cassette, and movies were on VHS tapes like this. So the word rewind made total sense. But now that everything is digital, we still use that word. Like, I'll rewind a podcast or a song that I'm listening to on Tidal, even though there's no tape involved. And now there are kids who have never touched a tape in their lives out there using the word rewind. Man, am I old. But anyway, today I want to talk about some things music producers and studios do, even though they may not even understand the reasons behind it, to the point where it's almost out of date or just plain wrong. There are some fun theories as to where these traditions, we'll call them, come from. So let's dive in with number one. So when condenser mics first came out, tube mics were all the rage. But there was one problem. The heat from the vacuum tube could rise, as heat does, meaning that the sensitive diaphragm of the mic could get pretty hot during long sessions. So engineers smarter than me had the bright idea to just flip the thing upside down. So nowadays, most tube mics can handle being operated right side up, and some, like this Sony mic, have heat sinks and radiators built in to disperse the heat before it even becomes a problem. Now, there's a case to be made that it's easier to hang a mic upside down sometimes for certain applications, but there's no technical reason to turn the mic over. Yet in studios around the world, you'll still see engineers miking singers, acoustic guitars, and tons of other instruments with the mic upside down. Heck, I even have a bunch of mics that look like they're vintage, and I'll mount them upside down just because it looks right for that type of mic, even though they don't have tubes at all. It's just something we do sometimes. Thankfully, there's nothing about using a mic upside down that makes it sound worse, but there's one more piece of studio gear that countless people mount in funny directions that actually does have an effect on their sound. But we'll get to that later, because I want to talk about something else that relates to tubes heating up. And this is something we've all seen before. See if you can spot it in this picture. Or this picture. Or this one. Yep, it's this absolute studio classic right here, the lava lamp. So there are a few different theories as to why everyone has lava lamps in their studios, so if anyone has any insight on why we do this, let me know. Now, my favorite theory that I found when researching this video is that the lava takes about the same amount of time to warm up as a tube does in a tube amp, a preamp, or a mic. Now, I couldn't find a definitive source on this, but it's a cool enough theory that maybe I'll just choose to believe it. Now, another reason I read is that watching the lava go up and down while sitting around waiting for tapes to rewind or for the singers to catch their breath between takes is a lot more entertaining than sitting and doing nothing, but it's not perceived as rude like reading a book or playing a game would be. It's just enough visual stimulation to keep you engaged while still being able to listen critically. So let's put that theory to the test. If at any point during this video you start to get bored, just watch the pretty colors go up and down. And now, when I'm waiting on mix downs or for Melodyne transfers, I can try just watching this instead of whipping out my phone. And now you get to watch this warm up while I talk about the next tradition. Now, the next one is something I'm guilty of myself, and it makes sense until you really think about it. So lots and lots of studios, including my very first studio, Sunray Recording Studio, have a logo that prominently features a Shure Super 55 style mic, which we didn't even use in our studio. And it seems like every week I see a new studio with pretty much the same logo. But why? So if you haven't heard of RCA Studio B, it's one of the most historic studios of all time, and it's in Nashville. And their current logo also features the Super 55, which is a mic that is commonly associated with Elvis. Yes, the Elvis, who recorded at RCA's studio all the time. Now, in my research, I wasn't able to find any photos of anyone recording at Studio B with a Super 55, even Elvis, yet it's the star of the logo. Now, my best guess is that they wanted to draw upon the association with Elvis with a nod to his famous mic, even though he used it almost exclusively at his concerts. So this mic isn't really known as a studio mic at all, but something about its look seems to signify this is a recording studio, especially when you slap it on a logo or on a sign. So the same way that a chief statue signifies a tobacco shop, or a red pepper tells you that there are going to be tacos inside a building, a Super 55 style mic has become the insignia for recording studios, even though they often don't have one inside. If you look for inspiration for your own studio logo, the Super 55 is plastered all over design template sites. So it only makes sense that producers, not being expert graphic designers, would gravitate toward this style of logo. Now, the RCA Studio B has another piece of gear that I want to talk about, one that's renowned in the studio world, the iconic Yamaha NS10 speaker. Now, the NS10s were released in 1978 to so-so reviews, but they quickly became a hit in studios, leading to variations like the NS10M Studio, a purpose-built monitor that's just for recording studios. There were some NS10s designed to lay on their side, as well as some that were meant to stand upright. It's pretty easy to know which is which based on the logo's orientation, but I think the sideways speakers are more iconic, meaning the up and down ones, they look a little bit off. Even today though, you'll see the effects of this in studios around the world, where owners of the modern Yamaha HS series speakers will commonly put them on their sides even though they're explicitly designed to stand vertically. I've seen countless producers set up their HS speakers on the sides, and the comments are always sure to let them know that they've got them sideways. By the way, if you actually stuck around to watch the thing melt, I'm sorry, it's going so slow. I didn't realize it would take this long. What the heck? There's also a somewhat common misconception that NS10 speakers are 100% flat when it comes to frequencies, but that's not entirely true. And I've got a little pet theory of my own that I've been working on as to why NS10s feel flatter than they are to most producers. So subscribe here if you want to see that video when it comes out. But in the meantime, whatever you use, if your speakers are on their sides, just double check the product manual and make sure that you're setting them the way that the manufacturer intended. And if you like this style of video essay, then check out this playlist because I've got a bunch more on the channel.